Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. Today is February the 19th, 2024, and welcome to Simply Cards by Kathi. I'm Kathi Yondas, and today we're going to have some fun with Planted Paradise stamp set. I had to stop and look at it. Almost had the name reversed. Hi, Mary. Thank you for joining me. We had a nice day here, too. Nice and sunny. Still a little chilly, but we're working our way up there. I'm glad you had a good day. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy you found me. I hope you'll like what you'll see and hit that subscribe button. And if you are with me live or you catch me on the replay, thank you so much for joining me and for your support and helping me grow my business. Hi, Pat. Thanks for joining. Today we are going to do an easy card, and I'm going to show you a few little tips. And we're going to use the Planted Paradise stamp set. Now that is in the new January to April. I had to stop and think about where we were. It's been a busy day. January to April mini catalog. And it's one you might even pass over. It's one that we got as demonstrators for attending on stage back in November. It does not have matching dies, but it's one that's easy to fussy cut. I fussy cut all kinds of images that I stamp, and I'm not one to do much fussy cutting. I'm very slow at it. So we're going to flip this camera down and get started. Okay, hopefully you can see and hear me well. Now I just want to show you this stamp set. So I'm going to bring in the mini catalog, and it's on 47. But what's neat about this stamp set is it's reversible. You can stamp from both sides, just like you see here. You can stamp the pot that's just a solid image, or you get the one with the flowers on it. And the same for every stamp that's here. Now, there's these little, hopefully you can see them. These make up the hanger if you want to make a hanging plant. So lots that you can do with this. We're going to make an easy card today. So we're going to start. So I'm going to start off with a basic white card base. It's 4¼ by 11. Now I am not using the thick cardstock, and you'll see why. I have a lot of layers. I'm going to show you how you can do this card with layers or without layers. Without adding all the layers, but because I'm layering mine, I did not use the thick cardstock. Hi, Kim. Thank you for joining. So today was a busy day. This week is card class week, and we had class today in home here in the afternoon, and on Wednesday we have it Wednesday evening after dinner. So it's been a busy day. So 4¼ by 11 scored at 5½. Now I do have a layer, and I'm using Flirty Flamingo. So this is 4⅛ by 5�3. And don't worry about measurements because there'll be a PDF that you can download this to. But I'm going to go ahead and attach this because once we get that a second white layer all ready to adhere, I'm going to show you another way you can do it. So two options for this card. So we're just going to get this down. I got to scoot it down a little bit. Thank goodness for green glue. And just move this over to the side. Now, I've stamped a lot of images, but I want to show you, I am going to stamp several so that you kind of can see what I'm talking about. Now, I am going to stamp pots. I'm going to stamp 3 different pots, and I'm going to use Crush Curry, Lost Lagoon, and Cajun Craze for my pots. So let's grab the Lost Lagoon and move these out of the way here. And I am going to stamp the pot. First, let me stamp it both ways. I'm going to stamp it first with the flowers. So let me do that. And my hand is probably in the way. I'm inking up. And I have a piece of fuzz on here, so let's get that off. on the stamp. Okay, let's re-ink that. And I'm using my piercing mat, and I'm just gonna give it a good press. And I have this all over my hands. So not the best stamped image, probably because I wiped it with my hands, and there's oil on my hands. So I'm gonna take an alcohol wipe and just clean that off. But then I'm gonna flip that stamp over and show you how you can use the reverse side of it. So cleaned it with alcohol. We're gonna flip it over. And I am going to clean this side since I touched it and give it a second to dry. Just stamp off on my paper, and let's re-ink this now. And this is going to stamp solid. So here's your two images. So options for every one of the stamps is the same. Now let's go ahead and stamp our other pots, and we'll stamp a few leaves, but I'm not going to stamp all of them because I've stamped many of them. And you don't need to see me stamp 12 sets of leaves. So this one is going to be, let's see here. I'm missing one pot. Here's my pot. So let's put this one on and this way. And this one's going to be Cajun Craze. Make it up good. And we're going to come here and press. I like using my piercing mat much better than without. I know some people really like stamping on the hard surface with their photopolymer rather than with the piercing mat. But for me, I just seem to get a better image, and it may be all in the pressure. Yes, Kim, I will see you on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. And let's stamp one here. So those are our three pots. Now I went ahead and fussy cut those out. So we have them. Now, if you're new to fussy cutting, I will cut one. And I'm going to cut this out. And if you are new to fussy cutting, you're using the scissors, but you are using your hand to turn and move your paper. So I'm going straight up, but then here, when I get to it, I'm going to turn the paper rather than my scissors and just work my way around. You'll get a more even cut, and you do want to leave a little bit of white edge along with your stamped image. And again, just turn, and I am not the world's best fussy cutter, let me tell you, but I'm working on it. So it's getting a little bit easier. So then just go down and turn your paper again. And you have your fussy cut image. Hi, Kathleen. Thank you for joining. So we have those. Now we're going to stamp just a few leaves. And we're going to use Parakeet Party. And we're going to use Garden Green. So I'm going to ink this one up. This one has some design to it because I want you to see the stamped images. And then we're going to stamp in Garden Green. I'm going to stamp and ink up and stamp off. So let's ink this up. And then I'm going to stamp off lightly and stamp so that I get a little bit lighter color. And then I'm going to use, I used another, and I'm not going to stamp it right now, but I used another one with shaded spruce. I'm covered in ink. I've been stamping all weekend. So lots of options. So now we've stamped everything, and I'm going to bring in the fussy cut images, and let's close some of these up. So we have two pots. We're only going to use one of them. And we have these two. I have the little yellow one, or whatever I use, crushed curry for that. I did cut some leaves. I cut um, 2 of these from shaded spruce. And then I cut some of the big leaves out, and you're going to see why. So we're just going to lay these all out here. And then there are like, I don't know if you want to call it a plume or like a floral. I stamped that in Flirty Flamingo just for the heck of it. So let's see what we're going to do with this now. So we have our card base, but I want to use a piece of white. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to use this to stamp an image. So we're going to build this image by stamping our leaves. So I want to see just about where I'm going to place my pot. So this one's going to be right around here. So I have this area to stamp with. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to bring in my parakeet party. But before I even do that, I'm going to bring in some soft seafoam, and you'll see why. We're going to take that one stamped image that I used, this one, and I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to use this almost like a shadow. So I'm going to ink this with soft seafoam. And let's make sure it's inked well. Yep. And I'm going to work around from here. So I'm just going to add a few of these for background. And I'm going to overlap them, and I'm not really going to worry about it. Now I'm going to clean my stamp off, and then I'm going to flip it around. And I'm going to re-stamp it with the indentations or with the accent lines. And I'm going to use Parakeet Party for this. And I'm just going to stamp right over. So it's almost like you're creating your floral image. Okay, that's all I'm going to stamp. Now I'm ready to put my pot on. And my pot is going to go on with dimensionals. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, I'm not ready to put that on yet. I want to show you something. You could do this just like this and have your whole white layer, just a plain white basic layer. But you have an option to add some dimension to it, some texture to it. So once I'm done stamping directly on the paper, I'm going to take this and run it through my exposed brick 3D embossing folder. So let me do that quickly and come back and show you what it looks like. I love stamping and then adding some texture to that. So let me do that, and then I'm going to show you what we have. Okay, here I come. So I ran it through the exposed brick, and now look at the difference in our stamped image. It added some texture and dimension, a little bit of interest to those flowers. So now let's go ahead and add our pot. So we're going to go, I'm just going to add some dimensionals, and I'm not going to add any at the top. And you're going to see why, because I'm going to tuck in some of those leaves that I fussy cut to the top of the pot. And if I put dimensionals up there, they're not going to fit underneath, so I can hide them. So let's do this. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Did you have some time to relax and have some fun? Let's do this right here. Okay, now I want to add a few leaves to that, and I want to bring in some color. So I'm going to come in with these little leaves that I've stamped and cut out, if I can pick the one up. It's being a little stubborn. And we're going to add this right in here with some mini dimensionals. So let's do that. So it's almost like you're building your own little, I don't know, floral garden, I guess. So let's add this in here. And it's just adding a little bit more dimension and texture and some interest. It's kind of raising it up. So even though you don't have dies, these are really easy to fussy cut and add them like you would any other die cut. Now, remember I said I did one of those, I don't know what flowers those are, if I go into that have like a plume. So I'm going to go ahead and add that with mini dimensionals. And if it isn't such a flower, I just made my own. So let's do this. And we'll add one more, and then we'll tuck that down under there too. Now we're going to add those other two little pots off to the side. So let's tuck this in here. Let me get it down there. There we go. And there's our one pot. Now let's add the little Cajun Craze pot. Now I'm going to have this kind of leaning on the other one. So my dimensionals are only going to go on the left side. And I'm just going to use a glue dot on the right because it's going to sit on that pot that's already raised up by dimensionals. So you don't want to add any dimensionals to that. So, all right. Oops. And then let's add just a couple of these. And on the bottom, and we should be good to go here. I have a hard time getting those backs off. So this one I'm going to bring down a little bit further and bring that right there. And then I cut out these leaves that were like a triple leaf, and we're going to tuck that in right behind there. So let's add to that. So I only need dimensionals really up on the top because I want to make sure that these hold their shape and don't get smushed in the envelope. And I am going to add a little one at the bottom because it's going to tuck underneath. Hi, Kathleen. Thank you for joining me. We have a lot of Kathys on here tonight. I am also a Kathleen. So let's pop this in here. And there's that one. Now our little one, let's bring in this crushed curry one. And I'm going to bring that right in there too. So I don't need a lot because that's such a tiny pot. But again, I want to make sure that I leave the top portion open to be able to pop that down. Pop it down to be able to put my leaves in there. So let's take these off. Okay. And we're going to put this one right about here. And then I have another one of these leaves, and we're going to put that on there too. So I'm just going to grab some minis here. Does anybody have this stamp set? And if you have you used it? I know I had it and I've not used it before this past Friday. So here we go. Now, we're ready to put this on the front of our card. Now remember, I layered with Flirty Flamingo. Let's get rid of that. I layered this with Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to attach it like that. But say you didn't want all those layers. Well, here's a Flirty Flamingo card base that you could easily just attach your basic white layer to that and have one less layer. So options. So even though I show you all the layers, you don't have to do all those layers. Do what appeals to you. So let's glue this down. And then we'll add our greeting. And then we're going to do a little masking to do the inside. So this is just a very thin edge of Flirty Flamingo. And I already stamped a greeting here, if it didn't disappear on me, which it didn't. And it's a thank you card. So we're going to pop that up with some dimensionals. And you can see it's from something. I used it for something else and wasn't satisfied with it, so I flip it over. And you always have that option. Don't necessarily throw your paper away. Just flip it over and reuse it. No one is ever going to see it and know it's there but you. And that way you kind of save. So this is just going to go off to the side here. Now for our inside, I chose to use another layer of Flirty Flamingo with a layer of basic white. Again, you don't have to do that, but I really like layers and I like adding color to the inside of a basic white card base. So if you were using Flirty Flamingo for a card base like I had just showed you, you just add your white layer. So let's straighten that out a little bit. Okay, now for the inside, I'm going to stamp one of those pots. So let's stamp the little Cajun Craze one. Now you could use this and actually put this on the inside and just stamp your flowers. But I want to show you a trick for stamping your pot and stamping off. So let's do that. I'm going to grab a Post-it note. That's all this is. And I'm going to grab my Cajun Craze. And we're going to grab, I'm going to use the little pot this time, the little square pot that we just used. And we're going to stamp it right down here in the corner. Now I am going to bring in my piercing mat because that's just what I'm most comfortable using. And ink this up really good. And I'm just going to come in towards the bottom and stamp my pot. Okay, there's our pot. Now I want to stamp those 3 leaves like I did earlier. Hi, Carol. Thank you for joining. So I'm going to take this Post-it note and I'm just going to cover this up right on the stamping. You don't want to go above because if you do, you're going to have a white space. So we're going to use that. And then I'm going to grab that triple leaf stamp, which is this one. And we're going to put that onto a block. And we're going to stamp that just like I did on the front. For the front, I used shaded spruce. So let's grab our shaded spruce. And I'm going to ink this up really well. Okay. And then I'm just going to come in. Remove and look at your pot. You've got your leaves within your pot. Hi, Michelle. Thank you for joining me. So now we're ready to adhere this. Before I do that, I'm going to use a little bit of hand sanitizer because I tend to wear a lot of green. When I stamp with greens and blues, I get covered in that. So we're going to go ahead and adhere this to our Flirty Flamingo. So it's an easy card. It really is, and it's a good card even for a beginner. And just kind of fun to make. Now we can add some embellishments to that. And I think the ones I'm going to use are, oh gosh, I don't know. Maybe I'll leave it without. I just really like it. So I'd be anxious to hear what you think about stamping and then embossing to add a little bit of texture. So let me bring you back to me. Thank you, Bonnie. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider giving me a thumbs up. It helps me grow my channel. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and you'll get notified when I go live or post another video. And a great stamp set to play with, great for beginners, but really good even when you are experienced. I really had a lot of fun playing with it. I'm sure you'll see it again because I have some more ideas to use with it. And I hope you have a good week. Stay safe and well, and I'll be back with you on Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.